Hiya, Laurie here. Welcome back and welcome to part 3 of our ring-bound journal craft with me. I hope you guys are really enjoying this process and are definitely crafting along with me, whether it be making a journal or something else. I'd love to know what you're working on, so if you let me know down in the comments, that would make me super happy. But in today's video, I decided just to do a voiceover, and that way I could kind of get as much done as possible as I'm going in and decorating the pages. I know I said that I wasn't going to decorate all the pages, but I ended up just decorating all the pages in some way. So I'm literally just going in and adding detail to the pages, whether it be ripping paper, adding pockets or lace or whatnot. I'm not going in with any kind of plan. As you'll probably see throughout the video, I kind of stop and I'm drumming my fingers and just kind of thinking and putting things down, taking them away, and just kind of seeing what I like and what works for that particular page. So I'm not got any kind of plan for any of the pages. I'm just winging it and decorating each as it comes to me. So yeah, that's why I wanted to do the voiceover, because this did take me a long time and I couldn't even get all the pages finished. I got the majority finished. I had done some off camera, like I mentioned in the previous video. I did continue decorating a few after my phone needed charging, but I wanted to get a lot done with you guys. I did plan on getting the rest of them done, but I still had 2 or 3 pages left when I had to turn this off, as my phone was going to die again. So I will obviously show you all the finished pages in the next video when it comes to binding them with our rings. But for this video, I'm just going in and adding little touches here and there to each page. I don't want to take away any journaling space if I can avoid it, so I'm just trying to either add journaling space where there wasn't any, or just kind of make it prettier journaling space. Like here I'm using a page from a digital kit that I'm currently working on, and I'm just kind of putting it in there so that there's like sort of like lines. This has already got like lines from the graph paper, but it's just to add a little extra piece of decoration without taking away from the journaling area that's already there. So yeah, I'm trying to keep as much space left for journaling as I can, whilst also adding different embellishments and decorations. So I hope this gives you some ideas for your own journals, and that you just enjoy this video. At the moment, I'm not adding anything to the pockets, so if I'm adding a pocket to the page, I'm not going in and filling the pockets. I'm going to wait until after the book is bound to do that, just so it's not super tricky to bind it. It's already going to be pretty tricky, in my opinion, to bind the journal. Like I said, I've never done a journal like this before, so I'm kind of dreading having to poke all the holes. I hope I haven't done something that kind of interferes with that process. I might have been better waiting until after I had poked all the holes to decorate, but I guess I will learn and see what works best. I'm actually just making a couple of photo frames using some acetate and die cut negatives, I guess you could call them, and that way that they can be used as pockets for photos for whoever receives this journal to pop in, rather than the pre-made frames that I've been using. I ended up putting a lot more of the frames in the journal with the little girl pictures or whatnot. I really liked that as an embellishment, so I ended up making a few more and using that throughout the journal. So I'm just popping a little bit of acetate to the back of these little frames, and they'll get popped in as little pockets, and like I said, a photo or whatever could be popped in this later. Like I said, I've not put anything in the pockets or tuck spots or anything like that. I'm going to leave that, and we will work on that once the journal is bound. We'll start making the ephemera and things like that after everything's kind of put together. But I really enjoyed working on these pages. It was quite fun to work on the pages when they weren't bound into the book. It's definitely something new for me, but I did enjoy it. I have to apologise, Laurie has actually taken her channel down from YouTube, so I can't link her video to her tutorial on how to make a ring bound journal anymore, as it's no longer available. I will hopefully find another video to link by the time this video goes up, for your reference, if you want to go watch an actual tutorial. Like I said, this is not a tutorial, this is just a craft with me. I do not know what I'm doing. This is the first time I have made a ring bound journal. So yeah, if you want a more in-depth actual tutorial, I will try and find a good one for you and link it in the description below. But yeah, Laurie's taking her videos down at the moment, so they're no longer available. So I'm sorry if you've tried to click on her link and it's just taking you to a dead end. I will rectify that as soon as possible. As you can see, I struggle a few times throughout this process, just trying to figure out what to do and what to put where. So yeah, I hope you don't mind me leaving those bits in. But yeah, obviously I just kind of wing it when it comes to decorating the pages of a journal. I don't kind of go in with any kind of plan, so it takes me a minute to kind of decide on what I'm going to put where. But as you saw, I ended up deciding on that pretty lace that I actually ended up cutting in half. I really like using the scalloped edge lace, but sometimes when it's got the scallop on both sides, it can be a bit much. So I like to cut them in half every so often, and I think it just adds a really dainty edge as well. So on to the next page, and like I said, I'm trying to add journaling space as much as I can. This is cotton rag paper, which can be difficult to write on if you're not used to writing on it. It's got quite a large amount of texture to it. So I'm adding just different memo pages to give extra journaling space. And one thing that I'm loving doing right now is kind of layering up different pages, but not completely on top of one another, so at different angles, but still so that it flips up and you have access to the page underneath. And so that's what I'm doing here. So I've glued the bottom page on completely, but the next page is just the top I've glued, so that you can still lift that up and access the page underneath, and it gives you a really nice layered effect, but still doesn't take away from the journaling space. So on to the next page, and again, like I said, no idea what I'm going to do. So I'm just kind of grabbing, or rather rummaging through my stuff, trying to kind of figure out what I want to do. This is actually a piece of packaging from stickers, I believe, that I kept because I really liked the envelope. So I definitely want to use that in the journal, and I do end up using it later on. But I ended up folding this page up to create a pocket, and so I'm just adding this vintage letter digital print, and it had actually printed wrong, I guess. I'd ran out of ink, so it printed purplish and pinkish, which I actually really liked for the theme of this, or the tone rather that I'm going for with this journal, which is quite pinky, purpley, bluey colours that I've been using. So I thought it went really well. So I'm just sticking that down as a sort of background for my pocket page. So I'm literally just going to pop this piece of vintage wallpaper over the top of the pocket, and what I do is I actually wrap it round so it creates a pocket on the other side of the page. Unfortunately, my phone died right here and I didn't realise until later on. So I'd already finished that page and moved on to the next one. So I apologise for you missing some of the content. Like I said, my phone kept dying and it was just doing my absolute nothing, to the point where I eventually just had to kind of call it quits and finish the last couple of pages off camera again. So for this one, I've just added a little bit of writing space to the back there with a cameo, and then I'm moving on to this music paper that I've tea dyed, and it's quite a big page that I've done. I've folded it a few times. And so I'm just grabbing this little paper bag that I got from a Etsy purchase. I thought it was really cute, so I kept it, obviously. So I've just inked around the edges, and then I'm folding up the bottom, and it gives me 2 pockets. I'm not going to leave the back open because it is quite a frail paper bag. I'm just going to leave it with the 2 pockets and glue it directly onto the page, and then go in and add some decoration as well as some lace to the edges, just to reinforce those folds, I guess, just so that the part that's going to be used the most has got a little bit extra strength behind it while things are getting put in and out of this pocket. I don't want it to tear, so the lace just not only makes it pretty, but it also helps to keep it strong and together over time. So I've got this beautiful, I can't even remember what it's called. I think it's silk trim. And one of my favourite things to do is the messy ruffle. So that's what I'm doing here. And I just love this colour. It's like a green gold khaki sort of colour, and it is so shiny. It's just beautiful. So yeah, I'm just putting glue and then pressing it down, and I'm just like then pushing it to create a small sort of messy ruffle, and it's one of my favourite things to do at the moment. I really love the effect this gives. Normally I've like add a little button or something along with it as well. So here I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I want to put in that sort of empty space right there. And like I said, I generally lean towards a button, so I've just grabbed one of my button boxes here. I wanted a sort of colourful button rather than a white or clear button, so I've grabbed one of my more colourful button selections, and I'm just kind of playing around and seeing what I like, and then I will stick those down. Once that's dry, we're moving on into the inside, and like I said, I'm trying to add as much journaling space as I can, and obviously writing on top of music paper can be a bit annoying, so I'm adding some graph paper, and I'm not just wanting to add it like straight down on the page and hide all that beautiful music paper, so I'm just tearing pieces and putting them down that way, so it's got like little areas of journaling, but it's not taking away too much of that music paper, which obviously I still want to see. So I've just inked around the edges as well, and then I'm just gluing 3 different sized pieces down in 3 different areas of the page. And obviously whoever gets this journal could add more pages or whatever to this area to journal on. This is just what I'm putting down, and I'm also just taking that last little bit of graph paper that I had left over, and I'm sticking it down on the other side of the page, and over the little flap area as well. So after much hemming and hawing, I finally decided to add these little memo page printouts, and again my phone died. So I kind of just popped back to show you what it looked like once I'd finished it before moving on to the next page. which is one of those hand-dyed pink papers where I've put the lace trim on the end. And I'm just taking a piece of embossed paper, a little scrap that I had in my little scrap pile there. And I've also went back and grabbed those frames we made earlier and kind of cut them down to size and inked around them, as I want to put one on this page here. And I've also got a little bit of a doily that's left over from a part I cut off for another page as well. So I'm just kind of seeing how I like it, and then I'm going to start sticking it down. Because it's a doily, I'm going to use my Pritt stick here. And I'm just doing that straight on the paper, and then I'll go in and add the doily on top. And then because it was in my hand, I ended up using it to the Pritt stick to glue down the embossed paper, but I do actually end up go back in with my Uhu and sticking that down properly once I've got the frame down as well. And then again, I've got another scrap here from a piece of ledger paper, and I'm just going to pop that down sort of the spine edge. So this is like where the holes are going to be. And again, just add that little bit of detail, plus it also adds that extra piece of durability for where the holes are going to be punched as well. One thing I have been trying to do is to make sure that the area where the holes are going to be put is a little bit stronger. It's got more than just the one piece of paper, and that way when the holes are punched, it's not going to tear as easily. So now I'm just taking a little post-it note type memo page label type thingamabob, and I'm just sticking that down for another piece of journaling space, along with this little girl sticker. But it is a vellum sticker, so I'm just sticking it onto a piece of paper first and then fussy cutting it out, and then I'll glue it on just so it's more opaque rather than see-through. And I still haven't added this little photo slide, so I'm kind of just playing around and seeing what I like and where I want to put stuff. I want to add one more thing to this page, so I was kind of again hemming and hawing, not sure what to put down, before I eventually decided on one of the little photo frames with the children in it. Most of the photo frames have got little kids in them, but I think one or two have got women in them, but the kiddies were just too cute, so I ended up adding quite a lot of the children. So although I kind of stuck to the sort of forest theme that I mentioned in the first video, I also went with a sort of children theme as well. So it's kind of like a bit of both, and with a little bit of shabby chic style as well, purely because that's kind of the style that I'm working on with my own journal at the moment. So it's kind of just ingrained in me to do the shabby style without really thinking about it too much. So yeah, I'm grabbing laces and trims and ribbons and just trying to figure out what I want to do here. And again, I ended up settling on one of those messy ruffle thingamabobs. Again, using that beautiful gold silky ribbon. It's kind of like sari silk, but it's not quite the same. I can't honestly remember what it's called, but it's very nice. And I've actually ended up tearing it down into 3 strips. So this piece here is actually from, there's another 2 pieces to make up the full width of it. It's quite a wide lace ribbon or whatever it's called. So yeah, I've popped the vintage button on top there, and then moving on to the next page. Again, no idea what I'm going to do with this page, so I'm literally just figuring it out as I go. I've kind of been determined to use this ledger printout. So what I've done is just kind of tore it in half at an angle, and then I'm just adding it to the page in 2 separate pieces. and it just adds, again, a little bit of interest to the journaling space that was already there. Or at least I think it does. I think it's quite pretty anyway, and it just kind of takes away a blank page. I'm just kind of inking around the other bits of that page just to kind of tie it all together. And then again, just rummaging, trying to figure out if there's anything else I want to add to this page. I end up again settling on a messy ruffle. This time I use this pink sari silk, and I've got quite a long piece here, so I end up bringing it right down the page in a very messy way. So I end up actually going back in and sort of fixing little bits here and there that I wasn't too happy with how they were sitting. So I've done more of a zigzag sort of ruffle here rather than like scrunching it up, which I wasn't really a fan of. So I ended up going back in and gluing bits down that I didn't like how they'd sat and just fixing it basically. But I like how it turned out in the end. It was only after I kind of finished this though that I realised I'd put it on the wrong side of the page, and this is actually where the holes are going to be punched, on this side of the page. So I was kind of annoyed at myself for that, but it was too late, it was stuck down now. So I just left it be and moved on to the next page. So this page I've actually folded in half and then brought up to create 2 pockets on either side. And so I'm just kind of figuring out what I want to do to decorate pockets. And I've got a little digikit here. I think it's a Tracy Fox digikit. And so I'm just cutting off that part there that's got the flower and the little dragonfly. And then I'm just going to stick that down once it's been inked up. And then I'm going to go in and decorate the other side with the other pocket. And I use a piece of the wallpaper digikit for that before going in and decorating the rest of the page. And again, no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of picking things up and seeing what I like and what I don't like. And again, just trying to make sure I maximise as much journaling space as possible. Obviously, I could leave this page as is and it could be written on just completely without any other decorations, and it would be fine. But because I'm decorating each page, I feel like I need to add something. So I end up grabbing a piece of this double-sided ledger, and I just kind of fold it in half and then tear diagonally down either side of the paper, and that way I can stick one side on one side and one side on the other side. Like, it's easier to show you than kind of explain it, but what I just did there. So again, I'm just inking up the edges like normal, and then I can glue those down. And the good thing is about the ledger being so tall is it goes right just underneath the pocket, so it looks like it goes to the bottom of the page once the pocket's folded up. And like I said, it doesn't take away any journaling space, it just kind of puts more of a structured journaling space there with the lines, rather than just leaving it completely blank, which I mean I could have done, but I just like it with that extra piece of detail. So again, I'm just adding little pieces of decoration. This is another page from the vintage wallpapers. And I love doing where I take a piece of paper and I tear it and put it in the corner. I think it just adds a really pretty detail. So I'm just adding one of those, I think these are Tim Holtz pictures, if I remember correctly, to the corner as well. And I'm just kind of playing around to see if one of the little images, one of the little people fit there as well, but I end up just sticking that down at the moment. and then again just rummaging through trying to figure out if I want to add anything else. And then I came across these little memo pages that I pulled out the last time I was decorating, when I was decorating off camera. So I decided to pop a couple of those, like sort of staggering down the page, as I quite like that effect. And that way there's still journaling space there, and it's just a little prettier than a blank page. And then moving on to the next page. And then this is me actually just counting to see how many pages I still have left and if I'm going to be able to fit them all in on this video. So I end up kind of trying to get them in, but my phone was obviously starting to kind of beep at this point, so I ended up actually having to put the charger cable in at some point, but it still wasn't charging quick enough. It was still depleting even though it was charging. It's quite an old phone, but anyway, so I folded this piece of graph paper into a sort of envelope shape, but I'm not cutting the tab parts off, as I'm actually just going to glue it down so it looks like an envelope on the paper, on the page, but then you can unfold it and journal inside it, sort of like a little hidden journaling area. And then I'm just grabbing a piece of that ledger that I cut down for the last page, and I'm just going to use that as a sort of decoration for the back of the page. So I'm just kind of cutting it to make sure it fits, and then inking around it and making sure I've just got everything tied in nicely before I stick it down. And then I can go in with my little sort of envelope journaling spot and stick that down. And I really like this. I do this in my own journal as well. I just think it is a nice little way to have a nice small piece of journaling area. And just to finish it off, I'm adding a little wax seal sticker once I make sure I've got it the right way up. Obviously I'm not closing it with the wax seal sticker, I'm just kind of adding it to the flap, and it adds a little weight to the flap as well, which helps it keep itself closed. And then again, just figuring out what I want to add to the rest of the page, and I end up obviously settling on this beautiful little photo frame, and I'm just kind of figuring out what else I want to use alongside it. And these kids are so cute. I think this is a Mrs. Coggs print. I think it might be white in the garden, but it's in the garden. It's something in the garden, and they're just so cute. They're sitting there, or standing there, sorry, next to a really nice flower bush, picking the flowers. And so I just added another little girl sticker next to that. And for this page, I'm literally like, what do I do now? I've ran out of ideas off the top of my head. So I've just grabbed this beautiful applique type lace trim, and I'm just going to add a simple pocket to this page. And just adding my glue around the edges and popping it down. I really love this lace. I really think it doesn't need anything else attached to it. It's very standalone kind of lace. I tried to kind of pop a little bow or something there, but then decided no. And I end up grabbing that other piece of scalloped lace trim from the one I cut in half earlier. Then this page really doesn't need a lot done to it, as it's obviously a digital print. I think it's an Artie Mays digital print. But obviously it's got lines, it's got decoration, it's pretty much ready to go, but I do want to add a little something to it. So I've just grabbed some sari silk, and again I'm just going to do my messy ruffle. This time, instead of just going across the top or bottom or whatever, I'm going to bring it across the top and then down the side, and as sort of like half a sort of frame for the page. So I haven't even trimmed down the sari silk yet. I've left it apart. I've left it on the spool just to make sure that I have the right amount that I need. And I don't want to run out, obviously halfway done. So I'm just kind of spreading it out so it's not kind of clumped together. and then again just putting some glue down, pressing it down onto the glue and then pushing it against itself to create that messy ruffle. And I really, really love the effect that this gives. I think it's just so shabby chic and pretty. So once I've got that done, I end up cutting a little length off and making a little bow to stick at the bottom of it. And I'm just kind of fluffing it up a little bit, or as much as I can. And then I just add a little bit of glue and stick that down at the bottom, like so. Again, just a simple little bit decoration. And then for the other side, I end up grabbing this eyelet fabric. It's kind of like an embroidery on glaze, but it's an actual fabric rather than a lace trim. So I just kind of cut a piece that's the same size as the page, and I'm going to use that as a sort of Nazi flip. I call it a Nazi flip as she's the first person I saw do this, was Amity Bloom. And it's just basically a piece of fabric or a piece of lace that covers the whole page. So I'm going to add my glue to the very top of the page, and because this is the edge of the fabric, it's got little holes and stuff like that in it, so I'm going to add another piece of eyelet trim just on top of that to hide that messy bit at the top, I guess. And then that's it for this page. Really simple, but I really love the effect that this gives for a hidden journaling space, or whatever you want to do with the page, really. And then moving on to the next page. This is a napkin page. So it's a page that I've made using napkin. But instead of gluing it on, I've used the plastic film trick, so that you still get the effect of the napkin. You can still feel the texture of the napkin. And this is a letter page of mine from an Easter set that I created. I didn't get it out in time for Easter, so it's not available in my shop yet, but it will be by next Easter. So this page doesn't actually reach the full length. It doesn't reach straight to the bottom, but I'm actually okay with that. I end up kind of playing around with a piece of lace to see if I want to add it, but I'm okay with it not reaching the bottom, because then you actually get to see some of that stenciling underneath. So I'm going to add some more journaling space to that flap. So I'm just grabbing some graph paper, and I'm just going to end up tearing it to the right size, just so that I've got that nice teared edge, or ripped edge. And then I'm just going to glue that straight down onto the flap once it's all ripped and ready to go. Moving on to the other side now, and I'm finally going to use this little envelope piece of packaging, but I'm going to cut the sides off so that it completely opens up, and I'm going to use it as a sort of hidden journaling space. So I'm going to take some of that graph paper that I used for the flap, and I'm going to glue that down, completely covering the inside, and that way once it's opened up, it's got a really large area for journaling, but looks just like a pocket to anyone kind of rummaging through the journal. So I'm just going to glue that straight down, and then ink along the edges, and obviously trim it down first, and then I can glue it to the page. So as you can see, I kind of make it sit at a slight angle, and I actually make it into a pocket tuck spot type thing. So I only glue the two edges and then stick it down, and that way something can be tucked at the back of it as well. I wanted to kind of add something to take away from that where it says better life. I wanted to kind of hide that, So I'm just kind of fiddling around trying to figure out what I want to put down. I end up settling on a little flower, this one here. So I just stick that straight down. This is the last page that I work on at the moment. I only have, I think, 4 or 5 pages left after this one. So I go away and finish that off camera, but I will definitely show you all the pages in the next video. But that is it for today. And I add a little bit of lace trim to this flap, but other than that, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you some ideas for your own journals. Don't forget to say hi down in the comments and be sure to pop back over for part 4, where we will be binding this and hopefully start making your ephemera. But thanks for watching. I hope you're well, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Take care and God bless. Bye.